I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, September the 23rd, brought to you in part by Normycin by Norbrook. Normycin 300 LA is your go-to antibiotic for a broad spectrum of cattle diseases and infections. It's widely available without a script. It's a must-have product in your vet shack, your pickup, and your saddlebag. For more information, go to norbrook.com. The north and south spread, I'm talking about the price between fat cattle in the north and the south. There's been a premium in the north here for the last several months, but that north and south spread has disappeared. I talked to you on our last visit about how your packers are really going to crimp down on the market this week, and they have in the north, not so much in the south. And we've been talking about how the south has been backed up, and you know, had a lot of cattle on feed, and pens were full and all that kind of thing. It's kind of changed a little bit here now, and in fact they've been hauling cattle from Nebraska down in the south, and you know, not so much because they just don't have enough cattle to kill, but because they need some high choice and prime carcasses. And the cattle, for the most part in the south, you just don't get near as many of them. They feed them just as hard, but you get more crossed up cattle and those cattle that don't have as much English in them, and so they don't grade choice quite as easily, and they like to feed them a little more efficiently in those big commercial feedlots than they do in some of your farmer feedlots and places like that. But that north-south spread has pretty much been eliminated this week, and it was pretty sizable just a week or two ago. But all the cattle pretty much bringing the same price now. In fact, Iowa, where they have the best cattle in the world as far as fed cattle, they're falling behind a little bit, and they're used to that, but they haven't been here for the last several months. But the board was positive on Wednesday. And man, guys have short memories. We know that. Cattle people have the shortest memories that's out there. And with just some green on the changes on your cattle board on Wednesday, it brought your feeder buyers back into the market, made everybody feel a little bit better. And it's kind of one step forward and two steps back. You know, the board will be down hard the next 2 days, but then if we can get one day that's kind of plussed, everybody feels good again, they go back into them. But all your feeder markets were higher for the most part on Wednesday, and on some high volume sales, your index levels turned around and went higher on Wednesday. But we're not out of the woods yet, but we do get to feeling better when we see that. We get to thinking maybe things aren't going to fall completely out of bed, and then we feel like we know we've got a lot of good fundamentals as far as supplies. We continue to see big runs of cows going to slaughter. Biggest run of heifers went to slaughter here in the last 6 months than we've seen for a long time. And we're going to get ahead of the game on the supplies. But like I always remind you, if we don't have any leverage or any way to gain ground in your fed cattle market, I don't know how we take advantage of that, because all the other classes of cattle are based off of that one price that we get every week for fed cattle, and we just, you know, we're falling so far behind with no negotiated trade these days. It's just damn hard to ever gain a buck when you're selling off of last week's market all the time. But your cattle on feed report comes out here on Friday, so we get ready for that. Just kind of give you an idea of what the expectations are. The inventory for September 1st, we're looking at to be 98.1%, placements 99.5%, and marketing's 99.8%. I do want to mention something that was an awful good time, and I don't know how many of you guys saw it, but they did have a Facebook auction on Wednesday morning. It was my friend DJ Dick Weddle, and he's a young auctioneer, up and coming, but kind of a virtual reality type of a sale there. But there was a lot of us and a lot of big time auctioneers that were watching that sale and involved in it, and had a good time watching it, and he did a real good job on there. And if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, just search Facebook for Dick Weddle, and you'll find that and go on there and watch some of his videos and have a real good time. And they've even got a GoFundMe page on there, and most of us threw in a few bucks there, and gonna give that to him and maybe send him to auctioneer school or something like that. But I tell you what, we had an awful good time with that sale. Let's talk about your board on Wednesday. October live cattle futures up 82 cents at 123.27. December up 75 cents at 128.55. You go on your back months and they were all up. Up 65 cents to up $1.30. So that's the most consistent gains we've seen on the board for quite some time, for really about a month. September feeder cattle was down just a smidge, but remember, we're getting right to the tail end of that contract and it's cash settled, so it's going to fit right in there where your CME cash feeder cattle index is, and so it was down a nickel on Wednesday at 154.80. October was up $1.05 at 157.67, and all your back months of feeder cattle were up pretty good too, up 87, up $1.27. Your fat cattle trade, Iowa, and we did see pretty significant trade for these days. I mean, we saw numbers, you know, not just a few loads here and there, but we saw enough numbers to make a difference in all four feeding regions. Of course, you know, there's 5 regions, but we don't get any information out of Colorado anymore. So, but did get to see some market there, and it was established on Wednesday, and it's lower in the north and it's fully steady in the south. Like I said, it's come back together. But Iowa running a little bit behind, 2,900 head confirmed on Wednesday. Live sales 120 to 123, that's full $3 lower. And dress sales 193 to 198, and that's $2 to $3 lower. Nebraska 14,200 head, that's a pretty brisk daily trade out of Nebraska. And live sales from 123 to 125, a bit better than Iowa, and dress sales from 194 to 198, $2 lower. Kansas had 6,800 head confirmed on Wednesday, 123 to 124, and fairly evenly split between 123 and 124. Texas, 2,100 head there. Their market was fully steady at 124. So there you go. We've closed that gap between north and south fat cattle sales. Now, I tell you where, your packers are really beating things up, and your majors do participate in these bigger fat cattle auctions up in the Midwest and the Northern Plains. But whenever they peel off of them, they're just showing their muscle there, and they've sure done that this week. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota, about 1,600 head of slaughter cattle there. They call the slaughter steers $2 to $5 lower, slaughter heifers $4 to $6 lower, and they sell a lot of pot loads in there, guys, and they'd be the goods, the really good cattle, similar to Yankton, South Dakota in there, and they beat them up pretty good this week. Your conventional cattle sold from 114.5 to 120. Your drug-free or NHT seed cattle, program type cattle sold up to 127. But that's a pretty chunk off of what they've been selling on there. Those packers will be back into those guys. Don't stop supporting your fat cattle auctions. We got to have them. Those regional packers got to have them. And at times your majors like to come in there and get some really nice cattle in there to fill in a little bit around, because they need those cattle too at times. Box beef cutout values were down hard, and that's what your packers are balking about. They're still making $1,000 a head, but they don't want to give any of that up. They want to continue to do that. But choice cuts on Wednesday afternoon, 307.83 down 354. Selects 275.50 down 251. Your slaughter 363,000. That's 8,000 more than last week up through Wednesday. 2,000 more than the same week a year ago. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. It's got a big sale coming up, St. Onge, South Dakota. So St. Onge Livestock, you want to be sure and get on there on Friday. That's my buddy Justin Tupper. We want to support him. You remember what he did at the Senate Ag Committee hearing there. He's going to be our next president of U.S. Cattlemen's Association. I don't know how he has time to do everything. He runs St. Onge Livestock, the Newell sheep yards there, goes. finds time to have a pretty good time there in between and around. He likes to play golf and throw dice and things like that. And he's just a guy's guy, and I really like him, and you guys will like him too. If you send an order in there or get online, I think he's with Cattle USA, or you can go up there yourself and you'll be glad to know him. But he's got a big run for Friday. About 4,000 head of calves. I mean, ranch raised calves there in western South Dakota. Be a lot of pee-wee weights in there if you guys want some with a lot of options. They would be perfect to take to wheat, and you would never have to apologize for the quality. But about 4,000 calves, about 500 head of true yearlings in there, and then coming back the very next day on Saturday, he's got 1,000 bred cows. You guys that's got some trade in you, you want to get up there and pay attention to that. 1,000 bred cows and 1,000 weigh-ups. So you wonder how come our numbers are getting short. 1,000 weigh-ups, and that's not uncommon up in that country and hasn't been for the last several months. But both of those sales start at 8:30 in the morning. If you want more information, you can go on their website, StLivestock.com, or call Justin Tupper there, and like I said, you'll really like him. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market and your sale barns on Wednesday. Your real-time index ended the day on Wednesday at 152.46. That was up 42 cents, so it gained a little bit of ground. It's been falling off pretty steadily here for the last several weeks. Your big sales on Wednesday: OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 7,400 head there. Had a good sale. Feeder steers and heifers steady to $3 higher. They called the wean calves, the good wean calves, steady on Tuesday. But your ballers, and guys, it's fall of the year, your fleshy balling calves get bigger discounts every single week, and there were severe discounts on those. There's really no bottom to it. It's kind of like quicksand when you bring fat balling calves, especially in small groups, into a sale barn this time of year. It's like quicksand. There's no bottom to them. Dodge City, Kansas, winter livestock, 1,800 head there. Feeders there were $2 to $3 higher. And calves kind of steady to weak, and like I said, continued discounts on your unweaned calves. But a stick out deal on some really nice calves there in Dodge City. 71 head, 590 pound steer calves bring $180, and that's pretty much tops, guys, weighing that close to 6. That'd be a hell of a good price there. Some of your other markets around the circuit: Bloomfield, Iowa, Bloomfield Livestock Market, that's the Schooley family there. They had a yearling special, and a yearling special this late in September. I'll tell you what, they could pretty much name their price on them. Look at all these loads of 8 to 850 pound yearling feeder steers right here, and they sell from 156 and a quarter to 164.60. Really nice sale at Bloomfield, Iowa. How about Torrington, Wyoming? Torrington Livestock Markets sold some big steers really well for that spot. 240 head, 916 pound steers bring $154. Bassett had a special on Wednesday, about 4,300 head. Their market compared to 2 weeks ago steady to $4 lower. That's exactly what our weekly trend was last week, was steady to $4 lower. So they're selling them just as high and just as impressive, but you know, the lower market affects them too. They had very few calves, mostly yearling cattle in there. They'll have some calf specials there. The guys up in that country be weaning their calves. They'll be getting done with harvest here before long and then weaning their calves. But you look at this market report out of Bassett, Nebraska. I see your big best tested weight, 772 head of 8-weight steers in Bassett, averaged 860 pounds at 160-102. There were 1,566 head of 9-weight steers in Bassett, Nebraska. They averaged 938 pounds with a weighted average price of $155.18. Wow. And then on the heifers, best tested weights was 8 weights. There was 467 head of 8-weight heifers. They averaged 850 at 154.67. And you'd figure the best quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday, your Zach Tran top quote for the day come out of Bassett Livestock: 189 head, 848 pound yearling feeder steers at $166. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.